everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We're just going to give folks a few minutes as their audio connects, and then we will get started. But if I could just get a thumbs up if you can hear me okay, that would be very helpful. Perfect. Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that. Um, Very excited to see some familiar faces and also some new names. So tonight we are here to learn about the New Hampshire Conservation District's Climate Resilience Grant, which is a really exciting opportunity to improve your farm's resilience through a climate adaptation or mitigation project. So if that was the call you were hoping for tonight, you are in the right place. So welcome to our online info session. And just to get things started, it would be fantastic if you feel comfortable unmuting yourself or either typing in the chat. If you want to just share your name, the farm name, town or county that you're calling in from tonight, and why you're interested in this opportunity or how you heard about this grant. That way, as we go through tonight's presentation, we can just kind of get a better idea of the audience that we're working with. But I'll just get things started, and I'd love to give the opportunity before we pass on introductions to everyone. Um, I'd love to give the opportunity to my colleagues from the conservation districts to introduce themselves. So I'll kick things off. My name's Bené Hershon. I'm the district manager of the Cheshire County Conservation District. And I'll go ahead and hand things over to Nina for an introduction.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Nina Bronwyn, and I am the Community Engagement and Communications Coordinator at Cheshire County Conservation District. Um, and I will hand it over to, did all the managers introduce each other themselves in the chat? Okay. Um, Suzanne.
Hi, my name is Suzanne, and I am zooming from Jaffrey, where my family homesteads or farms, right at the foot of Mount Monadnock. We have Simmental beef cattle and Dorset sheep, along with growing our own vegetables and fruits and berries. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Suzanne. And if anyone else would like to unmute themselves and offer an introduction, that would be great. And you can also feel free to type in the chat if that's your preferred way of doing an introduction.
I'll rip it out there. Good evening, everybody. My name is Pete Bartlett. I'm second generation blueberry farmer over in Newport, New Hampshire. Yeah, heard about this just via an email. Always interested in the opportunities and just kind of finding out about what we might already be doing that qualify us for all of this sort of thing. And obviously, climate change is big on everybody in the agricultural world's minds. We are a single crop farm. All of our all of our everything is in one proverbial blueberry basket. So protecting our crop from anything that's coming down the pike is always something that's in the back of my mind. But yeah, here to learn, here to figure it out. Appreciate the hustle on everybody's part. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction, Pete. And it's funny to see you on Zoom. I had stopped by your farm this summer actually after a hike that I was on in the area. So it's really, yeah, we're everyone's calling in from a different place, but we're also connected in this lovely little state. So really glad that you're able to join tonight and that you heard about the opportunity. Anyone else like to unmute and just briefly provide an introduction?
Hi, Scott Laffey from Rochester, New Hampshire. Mainly hay and a little bit of compost, but mainly small squares. We heard about the grant actually when we were reserving the spreader from the county, from the soil district in the aerator. Happened to see it on the website.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Scott. And I'm glad you were able to find out about the grant while also renting equipment, which is another service that we all offer. So that's fantastic. Well, feel free to continue to, share your introductions in the chat. I always think that the more that we can all be connected with one another, the better. So that, feel free to just share your interest. It just helps us get a better sense of who we're reaching. But I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Nina, who's going to get us started with just some background information on the grant tonight. Oh, oh, it looks like you're
I'm
muted.
muted. Yeah, well, hi everyone, and thank you, Vinay. So the mission of the New Hampshire Conservation Districts Climate Resilient Grants is to support and empower local farmers to build climate resilience throughout the granted state. This will be done through reducing the impact of agriculture on climate change through greenhouse gas emissions reduction and carbon sequestration, and to increase the resiliency of New Hampshire farms in a changing climate while also meeting farms' conservation goals and needs. So this grant was actually designed with a high level of farmer input to ensure the most pressing needs of farmers will be met. The New Hampshire Conservation Districts have also worked in close partnership as conservation partners to ensure that this statewide program fills the gaps that are not adequately being met by federal funds. So in order to be eligible for this grant, your farm must be in New Hampshire. Eligible farms must be selling direct to consumer or through wholesale markets for at least 2 years. Eligible farms must have secure access, so owning or leasing to the land on which you're farming. If leasing, the lease must be in writing and have a term long enough for the farm to complete the proposed improvement project and also see a return on investment. To receive funding, a farm must operate in compliance with all of the applicable federal, state, and local regulations. So now to moving on to like eligible projects. So the New Hampshire County Conservation Districts request proposals from farmers who seek funding to make investments in the following areas, which I will get into here in a minute. But we also want to reiterate that we welcome proposals for projects that are not going to be represented into the list that I'm about to get into, as long as they are aligned with the missions and goals of the program. So these are eligible projects that have project practices which promote minimizing soil erosion and then also maximizing carbon capture. So this could be anything from cover cropping, transitioning to reduced or no tillage, mulching, windbreaks and buffers, equipment and materials to promote healthy soil practices. So this is silage, tarps, roller crimpers, and then low or no-till implements. Transitioning to rotational grazing and grass-based systems. So, installing fencing or projects that revolve around that. Crop rotation, fixing gullies on fields, and then stop further soil loss. Soil nutrient management, soil testing, soil carbon monitoring and testing, and then soil sensors. And then these are practices within projects that promote sustainable water management. So this is going to be waste manure storage and management, runoff capture and reuse, riparian pollinator buffers and plantings, efficient irrigation systems, efficient well systems, and water sensors. And then these are practices which promote energy efficiency and renewable energy. So solar pumps, solar panels, anything in line with that, LED lighting, energy efficient technology, efficient cooling systems. So an example is like a CoolBot, climate batteries, and insulation.
And I just want to jump in briefly, Nina, and just share, for
Yeah.
transparency with this grant, that the grant right now, all of the funding that we receive for the climate grant is from private funders, so it's not federal dollars. And because of that, the funds for our grant come from two different pools. So, just an important thing to note that if you are looking to apply for an energy efficiency or renewable energy project this year, there are limited funds within that pool. So just something to consider as you're kind of determining and like putting together your wish list of what you might be thinking of applying for, is that the funds for energy efficiency and those renewable energy projects are going to be a bit more competitive than the other project categories. But we definitely still encourage them because they're a really important part to climate resilience on the farm.
Absolutely.
Anyways, yeah, thanks again, Nina, and I'll just go on to the next slide for you.
No worries. We also do eligible projects that include integrated pest management practices. So, fruit and vegetable netting, weather stations and sensors. And then finally, crop and livestock protection. So this is, in terms of climate resiliency, having wind buffers, shade structures, fans, things to help keep crop and livestock cool or warm. So this is, sorry, my this is priority that we'll be giving to like applicants. So when we're reviewing your application, these are things we're going to be looking for. It's important to, try to include at least one or more of these, if not the majority of your project focusing on this. So a focus on climate change mitigation or adaptation, definitely following the application guidelines. Having a detailed plan for project implementation, education, long-term maintenance, and sustainability, and then having a strong track record of successes and that are scientifically supported by partner agencies, and then provide opportunities to partner with your local conservation district to offer community education and share their project story or testimonial through conservation district publications or social media. So this could be events like a farm tour or workshops, or even being able to share your project on social media, conservation district social media. And then as well as providing opportunities to partner with your local conservation district and partner organizations to monitor your projects, assess project implementation and results, to help with future programming and research.
Awesome. Thanks, Nina.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, I can go ahead and jump in and let me just actually go back to our last slide on priority projects. And we're kind of going to get into like the actuals of what the application looks like. But I would just say that these are all really important things while you're crafting your application to consider. And I think the biggest thing to really remember with this is that while the point of this grant is to allow for the maximum flexibility to really meet the needs of your farms. We're also not looking to do experimental projects with this work. So making sure that there's a really strong track record of success for whatever project you choose to apply for is going to be really important, and that it's, scientifically sound. And I'll also just add is that, from the conservation district's standpoint, we love having the opportunity to partner with you all to showcase the project that you're doing, to showcase your farm business, and to also connect other farmers to the work that you're doing. It's a really great, just kind of speaks to the cyclical nature of this project, and the connecting that we're doing throughout the state. So funding, the following will be funded: practice implementation costs, material costs, architectural, land planning, or engineering services, and other direct expenses. We also will fund equipment, but we do require that all equipment purchased through grant funds need to be new and under product warranty. In some cases, this has been really tough, especially with tariffs lately. It's been tough finding certain pieces of equipment. And so making sure that if for some reason you can't get that new, justifying why you can't get it new, or offering, if it's really lightly used piece of equipment. We just want to make sure that the investment that the grant funds are making is, that there's going to be a lifespan for that piece of equipment and for the project. We can also fund technical assistance and consultant and legal services as well. The following will not be funded, so advertising is not an allowable expense. Research and feasibility studies, we want to make sure that if you're doing a project that you're set up for success. Any efforts that aren't going to lead to increased climate resiliency through adaptation or mitigation, it's quite literally the point of the grant. So making sure that you tailor your application to stay true to that vision and the mission. Experimental projects, and also this is a really important one to keep in mind, projects that have already been installed. So let's say you're doing a solar project and you already have your panels in. It wouldn't be eligible for this grant, unfortunately. So just something to keep in mind. I was on the phone with a producer actually earlier this week, and they had said that they were really interested in applying for the grant. There was a really great sale going on they were looking to purchase a new piece of equipment and they saw that it was on a significant markdown. And they wanted to know if they could purchase it and then apply for the grant. And we don't allow that. So the way that this grant fund works is that we provide a cost share for farms. So we cover up to 75% of the project costs, not to exceed $10,000 per farm. And so farmers are responsible for covering 25% of the costs. And oftentimes, this is really not a tough requirement. We know that often these projects can get really expensive. So just making sure that you're aware that it's unlikely that the $10,000 that we provide are going to cover the entire cost. And I'd also just like to say that the 25% that the farms are responsible for can also include a match of your time. And so more often than not, we know that the time that is being put into these projects, like not just actually like putting in the projects and installing them, but speaking with contractors, getting different quotes, really facilitating all of this counts towards that time. And so we actually include a tracking sheet for all successful applicants to keep track of their time. So just don't want that 25% requirement to scare anyone off. It's often very easy to meet that requirement just through farmer time alone. Um, and I had actually said this earlier. I forgot that it was on a slide, but just to note that this grant is comprised of two different funding pools. And so the renewable energy pool does have limited funds, and all of our funds are competitive. I think just also, especially with the state of funding right now, just to be aware that unfortunately, with this grant, we always get more applications than we can fund. So I would say if you apply this year and for some reason don't get it, really encourage you to just like build a relationship with your district. You can always ask folks, like at the county conservation district, ways that, they may suggest strengthening your application. And yeah, just continue to share your ideas with us. We really want to be able to support as many farms as we can through this opportunity. Alrighty, so this year's timeline, applications are due February 1st. So making sure that either you're emailing them by that deadline or that they're postmarked by that date. And all of the districts have a willingness to work with you and answer your questions leading up to it. But it's really tough when we get an email on like January 31st. And we can't help you at that point, to be totally honest with you. So I would say if you're interested in putting in an application, the earlier that you can get it in, the better. We're happy to review in Cheshire County. If you're a Cheshire County farmer, Nina and I are happy to review your application. You can also reach out to your respective county and see if they would read over your application as well. And yeah, I would say the earlier you can get that in, the better. From February to March 30th, the selection committees throughout the state meet, and you might be contacted during this time if there's any questions that they may have on your project. You'll be notified by March 31st. And then if you do get funding, your final report is going to be due on December 31st in 2027. And your project must be completed by that date. We have a final report. You can see a template of it online if you want to kind of get a better idea of what that looks like. And then we also have a requirement that you also share photos and all of your receipts as well. So once you're notified, you get the grant, we're going to need a signed contract from you. I also have to add this in. We need a W-9 for us to have on file, and proof of liability insurance. And in the past, we've had a few folks who did not have insurance before applying for the grant, but just know that if you do want to receive funds, you're going to need to get some form of insurance in order for us to support your project. Alrighty, so when you're really sitting down to create a strong proposal, the biggest thing that you can do is take time to create a well thought out and well researched budget and plan. And really, while you're outlining your application, note what went into it. Like if you spoke with someone at UNH Cooperative Extension, make sure to put that in there. If you called around for like three different quotes, let's say you want to get a well drilled on your property. Let us know that. Like, that is really helpful information for us to know that you did your homework. So, really including as much detail as space allows. And there's not an expectation that you're like a professional grant writer. We just want to hear about your farm. We want to hear about your story, and we want to hear about the need for this project and how it's going to help you. Um, and making sure that you answer all of the questions in the form and then communicate with us if you have a question. We're really not scary. I know we seem terrifying, but that was a joke. Uh Contact us. We're always happy to just chat things through with you all. This is like a collaborative effort, and we want to make sure that you're as successful as possible. Now, another component of this grant that can be used to strengthen your application is kind of leaning into that network of technical assistance advisors throughout the state. So, when the county conservation districts started this program, we really reached out to technical assistance providers throughout the state to get an understanding of the needs for this program. So if you're working with like UNH Extension, or perhaps you're working with NRCS, or you're working with like a private crop consultant, we have a form available for you to use to include in your application. So just note that it's helpful for us to know if a technical assistance provider is going to be helping you in making sure that your project is successful. And I would encourage you, if you're not already working with folks at UNH Extension or USDA NRCS, there's so many fantastic resources in our state. Also, the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Districts has technical assistance providers as well. Reach out to those resources. And if you don't know how to get connected with them, we're also happy to connect you, because these folks have resources that are already available, and they're a pleasure to work with. And these are just some examples of all of the different technical assistance providers that you can use. And I saw Nina already responded in the chat, but all of this information will be shared with anyone who signed up through the link. Nina will be following up with a recording and with a copy of these slides, so you'll have access to all of this information. Alrighty, so we did a lot of chatting. So I'd love to just open it up to folks. And if you want to just like raise your hand, we're happy to answer any questions, whether that's like details of the grant, or if you have an idea tonight that you're kind of interested in getting our opinion on or getting some thought. We'd also just be happy to like offer some brainstorming as well.
We also do have a couple questions in the chat.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for letting me know
The
that.
first one is starting with Marianne.
Okay, let me scroll back up. Okay.
Did you want me to go over the question and give you a little more detail on it?
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful, Marianne.
Okay, well, the requirement for eligibility was having the direct contact with the consumers for 2 years prior. And I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if the farm has recently changed hands and there was direct consumer contact for 2 years before right now, um, but isn't developed yet going into 2026, can the farm still be eligible for the grant?
I guess my question is, following the changing of hands, is it the same business or is it a new farm business that's being set up?
It would have a new focus. It would become um, more probably community focused rather than a business.
Okay. So it's not going to be operating as the same farm business. It's not like they sold the business to you and you're continuing to
Correct.
operate the
Correct. It
business.
wouldn't be operating the same. Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, in that case, it wouldn't be eligible at this time, because they're two different businesses. So although it was the same property, we're really interested in just the connection of the business structures for that requirement. And unfortunately, that's a requirement from our funders for the grant.
Okay. So because it's a totally different business,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be. But if they had actually like sold the name and everything else, then that would have been eligible.
Yes. So like for example, if it had been like an LLC that they like handed over to you and it was like a turnkey business type of deal, like a family business that had been operating for like 20 years, and you were carrying on that same business, then it would be eligible. But because they're two different structures, it wouldn't be.
Okay. I mean, if I have additional questions on this, Bennett, could I give you a call, say tomorrow, if I
Yeah.
think of more things on this? Okay.
Yes, of course. And could
Thank
you
you.
remind me, where are you calling from tonight?
Peterborough.
Oh, perfect. And I'd also be happy to connect you with Carrie, who is the district manager for your county as well. But I'll go ahead and I'm going to just put my information in the chat, and
Okay.
definitely happy to talk things through with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. I see another question right here, from Jess. Would replacing plastic or framing on a high tunnel be eligible, or would that be considered an existing project? So I would say, Jess, are you still on the call? It would be helpful to kind of get an understanding of what the project vision is. My guess is that you're you're thinking through like an efficiency standpoint, and that this would be an energy efficiency project, and that's why you want to replace the plastic or framing. But if you could just unmute, that would be helpful if you could provide a little bit more background.
Yeah, sorry, there's just a lot of background noise here. I'm at a
No
public
worries.
place. So, but yes, it would be for efficiency's sake.
Perfect. So in that case, it would be eligible. And it can get kind of confusing because I know it is already an existing structure, but you're not applying for like the high tunnel itself. You're applying to increase the efficiency of a structure that existed on your farm. So like the same thing is like, let's say you had, an old corn planter, and you wanted to retrofit it to be a low-till implement to improve soil health, that would be an eligible project. So we consider like an existing project, like let's say you purchased like a whole bunch of silage tarps last season and you still have the receipt. and you bought them because you wanted to do some new low-till beds to improve your soil health. So that would be an example of something that we cannot fund. We're just trying to avoid a situation where folks have already purchased something without the intention of improving their farm's efficiency, and then coming to us with a request for a project that has already essentially been completed. So that is totally something that you could apply for, Jess.
Thanks. That
Um,
makes perfect sense.
Perfect. Awesome. And I think that would also make for a really great and compelling project for this grant as well. Um, Boop, boop, boop. Let's see. Pete, do improvements to existing projects fall under the grant's eligibility? Pete, did my answer to Jess's question answer your question? Is there any clarity I could provide?
No, I think that the answer for Jess was great. We've got a bunch of stuff going on in the farm that just starting to get aged out. I mean, irrigation is a big one for us. It's harder and harder to fix every year. So improvements to that, in particularly around water conservation and efficiency, are kind of where my brain is turning. So I think we're good to go. So thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah. And like, I would also encourage folks, if you go onto our website, and I'm going to put Nina on the spot and ask her to put it in the chat. We have this really great interactive story map where you can actually see examples of projects throughout the state. So if you're looking for inspiration, that is a really great resource. And we've had quite a few irrigation projects. A lot of them have worked with like Brookdale to purchase a new irrigation system. And we love being able to support like New Hampshire farm businesses through that too. So I would totally send you in Brookdale's direction for a quote. But also, if you're looking for like other farms who didn't, there are other places you can get irrigation systems as well. So if you're looking to chat with any other farmers who've done it, you could also feel free to connect with them. Um, Perfect. Let's see. Scott, is there a particular group that needs to be listed as a certificate holder on the COI? So for the COI, we're looking that it cover your farm and anyone who is going to be working on the project. So if you have farm employees who are going to be installing the project, it's important that your policy cover additional insured. And we have like a bunch of information that we can give to you of like what those specific requirements are. And we always communicate that with our awardees. But we just don't like when, we don't want the insurance to come as a surprise to anyone when they're jumping into it. We just want to make sure that it's either covering your business or like the farm property itself. We know sometimes it's like a personal insurance policy because you live on the farm, and that's totally fine as well. Um, Oftentimes, the insurance agent will like either like issue an umbrella policy for it, or we can also just take like the personal insurance and we can make that work. But happy to answer any additional questions on insurance. If more clear. Okay, perfect. I see a thumbs up from Scott. That's awesome. Do. Let's see what else. I see Eileen wrote, does the liability insurance requirement need to sit with the business? Okay, yeah. So it's totally fine if it covers the farm location, doesn't have to be specifically the business. Awesome. Well, I think I answered all the questions in the chat. Does anyone have like any additional questions, or want to share what they're potentially thinking of for their project this year?
I'm going to speak up again because that's just what I do. But hopefully, everyone in the room or folks have used Equip through the NRCS before. So my question is, a lot of these projects, I mean, the Equip grants that we've got are supporting projects that we're already engaged in doing, not necessarily the efficiency piece or changing them. But if we get a grant through the NRCS to support that, is that gonna negate our eligibility for the conservation grant here, or can we double down? And sorry to say that, it makes me sound like a terrible person, but I mean, the more the merrier where I come from.
Yes, you can totally double down. So if you are eligible for this project, if you're working with Equip, and we actually encourage you to work with Equip. So there's so many great funds available in our state, and this program was really designed to kind of just fill the gaps because we know that it doesn't always fully cover everything. And also we know that sometimes those Equip funds, like as incredible as they are, there's also limited pools in the federal system right now. We're coming out of a period where there was a lot of funding through EQIP available. And I don't know if they've publicly shared the totals for this year, but I do know that, there's a change in them. And so, yeah, that's all to say, totally fine to apply for both. And yeah, you'll still be eligible. Any other questions? I'm kind of curious, like, what are folks thinking of applying for this year's grant?
We're gonna look at possibly applying for a manure spreader to bump our organic layer up, and which will and sequester more carbon and basically try to cut out synthetic fertilizer for our hay fields if we can.
That's awesome. I think, and there's been projects throughout the state that have been really similar, and like, I think that is like such a simple, like, and like easy, like application to explain. So I think that could be really compelling, Scott.
Okay.
And can you remind me where you're based out of?
Rochester, New Hampshire.
Okay, perfect. And you'll have to bring me up to speed. Which county are you in?
Stratford.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that could be a really good project in Stratford. And I think maybe we had a manure spreader project in your neck of the woods, but we've had quite a few. And I think like when you're going through the application, I think that's like a really easy correlation to make for the soil health, especially with those hay fields. I think you'll be able to see like improvements. And that's something we also like to know about, like in our application, like how do you know when you're going to be successful? And I think like that's a really easy one. You could say like with the hay fields, like maybe you want to like add some like testing with the soil. Maybe it's like lacking nutrients right now, or maybe the metric is that you're going to be putting less inputs into your field now. You're not going to be using as many synthetic fertilizers. So you could share how you plan to cut down on that. If there's like if you want to cut down totally, or if there's like a specific percentage that you're anticipating. So I think that could be great.
Thank you. A quick question on that.
Yeah.
So I did soil testing through UNH this year, and then Cargill does my forage testing.
Yep.
And I have baselines. Some of my fields we don't. I was reading through about the lease program. Some of our fields we have a lease. We don't have a lease on, and some of
Yep.
the fields we own direct.
Yep.
And we have testing on both. Would we still submit these are the fields we're going to use it on? And because I'd like to use it on all the fields we can use it on, but I'm going to
Yeah.
have testing on my personal fields that we own. So
Yeah.
how does
So
that work? I because I don't have a written lease with a lot of my landlords. A lot of it's
yeah.
handshake.
So I think, just like stating in the application that like you're planning that the testing will happen on the fields that you do own, and just like emphasizing that, but also stating that I think it's fine to also share that you're still going to be using the equipment on the other fields as well. Really with like those leases and like that requirement, we just want to make sure that if you're making an investment in the land, that you're able to see the return on that. So I think if the application really honed in and you really stress that you're going to be doing the you're going to be comparing the results on the fields that you do own, I think that would be a really good focus area. And it's
Yeah.
okay to just note that there's also additional fields as well. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. I'm not sure. It looks like we won't be eligible, but I'm wondering if I just wanted to get your idea on if our project would have been eligible, which was to do a solar powered irrigation system, getting water from a river. Would that type of project have been eligible?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that would have been. And, I think, Marianne, I think it would be helpful to just kind of get some more information from you on the background of the farm. And, I think it would be great if, have you been connected with Carrie in your county? Carrie
No,
Road?
I did leave a voicemail message for her a couple of days ago,
Okay,
so
perfect.
but I haven't heard back yet. So
Okay, great. I think she might be out of town this week, so that's probably why you haven't heard back.
yeah, I
Um,
thought maybe that. It's
but
okay.
I think Carrie would be a really good connection for you to have. And I think it would just be helpful for you to talk through with her because I know that there's also other funding opportunities that might be available to you outside of the climate grant.
Okay.
Specifically in your county. I know that Carrie is working with several farmers in the Peterborough area actually on like gleaning and community farming efforts. I think it would be a worthwhile connection, even if you're not eligible to apply this year.
Thank you. I'll definitely get in touch with her.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, Marianne. It sounds like a really neat project. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Any other questions that I can answer? I think a question that we get a lot with the conservation districts, because the beauty of this grant is that it's so open-ended, is that farms often have a tough time deciding what they specifically want to apply for because there's so much to choose from. And what I always say is, take a walk around your farm and really kind of just like make either a mental or a physical list of kind of the highest priority areas right now. And once you have that list, I'd then take a look at the federal funds and programs available. So whether that's like NRCS Equip, whether you're working with a technical service provider who has funding available through like UNH, and kind of whittle it down from there. And then once you see all of the gaps in your list, I feel like those are all usually um, like good projects to go ahead and consider, making the focus of your application. So that's just kind of some general advice as you're thinking through the application for sure. Um, but yeah, I think Nina and I will stay on for a bit if anyone else wants to connect about their project. But really just want to thank you all so much for sharing a portion of your evening with us. It's really fantastic to just see so many new faces all throughout the state. We're really thrilled to have the opportunity to work with you all through this program. And I also just want to emphasize, like, don't be a stranger throughout this process. We want to make sure that your programs can succeed. And so make sure to, contact your conservation district. And Nina, could you go ahead and actually put the link for the that lists all of the contact information for the districts? Thank you. Um, just, contact your respective county. We're really happy to walk you through the process and to read over applications. But yeah, we're gonna hang on for a bit. Oh, I just realized that I know Jess. That's so exciting now that I can see your face. Um, but Yes, we're going to hang on for a bit and are happy to just kind of continue to touch base with folks. But we really look forward to reading your applications. And Nina is going to be in touch with that YouTube recording link, and some slides as well.
Thank you, Benay. This was super helpful. Um,
Yeah.
I apologize. This is a little bit last minute, but I did think of one other question. I'm joining you from Community Supper in Peterborough, by the way.
Oh, nice.
It's really fun, but that's part of the reason I didn't have the video on. Um, there's a lot of words that cannot be used in federal grants right now. I
Yeah.
am just wondering, given the nature of this grant, if there are any such words as far as the conservation districts are concerned that would not be preferable.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's an unfortunate question. We love words in the conservation districts. So please include all of the words that are appropriate to include in a grant application that is about science. So feel free to put that language in there. And just a note, for any folks working with USDA technical service providers, um, if you're looking to get that form signed, it's an optional form with the application. Um, that might change in the next few weeks. So it might be that, you aren't able to get NRCS to sign off on that, and that's totally fine. Just please note that if you are working with like an NRCS technical service provider on this project, just to note it in the application, we're still interested in knowing that information. It's just kind of unclear if what like the word climate and like the weight that that carries may look like in the next like funding cycle for equip. So things are kind of like ebbing and flowing with service providers right now. So I would just say, like, if you are applying for a grant and you are looking to like lean heavily on a service provider to install it, or to help you in that process, it might be worth like also tapping into like some other technical service provider resources as well. And also making sure that if you are pursuing a project that you feel comfortable that you can see it through with or without the guidance of a service provider, is just kind of a note that I would put in there for this year's application. Any other questions? And I would just say, while you're all on this call, if you're a fan of this grant program, if you see the value in it, just a cool thing to note is that the conservation districts right now, the state has a bill. It's HB 246, and it seeks to add funding to this program through the state level, which is really neat. So I'd encourage you all. The legislative cycle, that session begins in January, and it's a really interesting bill to follow. And it would add some state funds to this grant as well, which is only been privately funded in the past. And all of the funds from it would go to supporting these projects and would allow the districts to continue to support more and more farms. So a really good thing just to have on your radar. Any other questions on eligible projects or language, anything like that? Alrighty. Well, just really want to thank you all again so much for your time. And yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're always happy to review applications. And I hope you all have a lovely night and a lovely holiday season. And definitely, I guess my closing remark would, a link to test. That would be great, Jess. Yeah, so just so you all know, like with HB 246, there's an option for farmers to submit testimony or members of the public to submit testimony. And I don't know if that link is actually available yet, Jess, but it will be in the next coming weeks, like once session actually starts. But we will be sure to keep folks in the loop on that, but can definitely send you a link with just like information on the bill, and anyone can actually track the progress of the bill through the House of Representatives website. So we'll be sure that Nina includes that as well. But really just want to thank you all so much for your time tonight, and we're really excited to review your applications. And it's snowing down here in Keene, so I imagine it's snowing for most of you as well. So hope you're all staying warm and enjoying the snow from inside. Awesome. Thank you all so much.